You know, it's sad to say, but the Clippers definitely got the bitter end of this situation. And before I get into that, though, Clippers star Paul George speaks on how the NBA done the Clippers wrong. And, you know, in regards to that, you can read a couple sites, Clutch Points, and a few others and get more information on it. But for the gist of it, Paul George definitely has a point. You know, it looks like the Clippers are going to be traveling 3,000 miles almost more than any other team traveling wise in regards to being the away team. And a lot of other teams in the NBA, or almost every other team in the NBA, has more home games, less traveling than the Clippers do. And it just seems like, you know, the hatred pile is piling on the Clippers, and, you know, all the negativity is starting to come back. It just seems like it's just coincidences like this that happens with the Clippers specifically. And really, I just don't understand the situation at hand, because when I think about it, it's really unfair. It's unfair that the Clippers would have to go 3,000 miles, travel a lot more, when you know that their team is the most unhealthiest, or one of the most unhealthiest teams in the NBA. And it just seems like, you know, the NBA is definitely, you know, putting this on the Clippers. Now, I will say this, you know, this could be a situation where you may look at it and say that, oh, it's going against the Clippers, but other teams probably had to do the same thing. I mean, if it wasn't the Clippers this year to travel 3,000 miles more, it could have been last year. It could have been hypothetically the Nuggets or something like that. Maybe they had to travel more or had more away games than they had, you know, home games. You know, it definitely could have been that way. So, I mean, it really kind of goes both ways. You could look at it from two different perspectives, but honestly, based upon, you know, what the Clippers have been through injury wise, this looks like a bad situation for the Clippers. And it looks like another situation where it's going to be very hard or very difficult for them to find themselves winning a championship, because if you're one of the most injured teams in the NBA, well, how is traveling on the road, doing a lot more away games and a lot more traveling going to help you? That means more fatigue. And, you know, fatigue, with fatigue, it can come injuries. And with fatigue, you know what I'm saying, comes missed games, you know, and that is a recipe for no good success. So, I mean, the Clippers, they definitely have their work cut out for them. This is definitely a tough situation for them to be in. This is definitely one of those situations where, you know, a lot of people might feel for them, but at the same time, other teams have done the same thing. Other teams have went through it. And I understand where Paul George is coming from, because everybody knows the last few years, they've been the most injured team in the NBA. So when you put more onus on them as far as traveling, being away from home, doing more, you know, going the extra mile as far as like traveling and going to different teams and having to, you know, play more games on the road rather than home, it definitely makes it harder on a team. You know what I'm saying? And the Clippers, you know, especially with Ty Lue speaking on All the Smoke this year with Matt Barnes and Stack, you know, he said that they're going to take the regular season more serious this year. So if that's going to happen, they're going to be playing, you're going to see Kawhi and PG, hopefully both of them if they're healthy, in a lot of away games this year. You're going to see them in a lot. You're going to see them, you know, travel a lot and, you know, put more miles on their knees and their body. And it could definitely take a toll on you, especially, you know, at the end of the season, when the season wanes and it comes down to like the playoffs. And I think, you know, that's just the NBA promoters or whoever, the people who make the schedule. And I just think that they just had it in for the Clippers, man, at least this year anyway, you know, or at least it just seems that way, you know, at the moment. But as I said before, I'm pretty sure other teams have had to travel a lot more and do away games and, you know, things like that a lot more than what they have they would have liked to. But it's just a part of the scheduling, and somebody has to get the bitter end on the situation. And this time it's just the Clippers, you know what I'm saying? Or in a lot of Clippers fans' minds, they probably feel like it's always been them getting picked on, you know, amongst other teams in the NBA, because, you know, a clip came up not too long ago where, a few days ago, where it showed that the Clippers are doing like 2,000 to 3,000 more miles, you know, of traveling time than the Lakers. And the Lakers have it a little bit more easier in regards to scheduling, you know, more home games, and their schedule is not as tough. You know what I'm saying? I think on the, in the beginning of the season, and to start, I think their schedule is relatively, you know, pretty decent, something that they can handle and get their momentum going, build, you know, win a few games, build some momentum and some confidence and keep going. Whereas the Clippers, their road to success or championship is a lot harder, and which is always has been. So, I mean, as a Clippers fan, you really can't, say that, the Clippers have ever had an easy road, to anywhere, because it's always been tough for them. So, I mean, this is something that the Clippers fans, the Clippers organization, the players really, have to get used to. And the good thing for the Clippers, I will say this, if they have this schedule that's so crazy the way it is, and they're traveling so much more with all the injuries, at this point now, I would say they kind of better hope they get James Harden, because with all these talks and all these behind the scenes, trying to figure out the James Harden thing coming to LA, because he seems to want to come there. And, from the reports, it seems like Kawhi and PG want him there, based upon what we saw. So if that's the case, they're going to need him to arrive, because, I mean, if with all these away games, Kawhi and them might not be, available for a lot of these games. And if they're not, then that means a lot of those games they might actually lose. They might not win, a lot of those games. If they lose them, then it's they might find themselves in a situation where they were this past season, where they were fighting to get into the playoffs, rather than being placed in the play-in tournament, because they were, their record was pretty close or comparable to a team that was in the 7th seed, and they was the 5th seed or something like that. And that's what Ty Lue spoke about. They want to be in better position so they don't have to go that route, and don't have to go that route and try to figure out everything on the fly and try to be the best team they can be at the end of the season. You can turn a switch on and off, because you can't. You have to be able to sustain success, and you have to be consistent. That's just the way it is. And the Clippers know that. Ty Lue knows that, and that's what they're trying to implement this year. But they're going to definitely need some help with this schedule that they got, because if they're traveling 3,000+ miles more than any other team in the NBA, according to Paul George, which, I mean, that just sounds very crazy. If that's the case, then hopefully health is on their side this year, and hopefully maybe they do get a James Harden, because they're going to need an extra body or extra star player, just because their schedule is so difficult in regards to the traveling. So, I mean, definitely at this point, looking at the way things is with the schedule, it definitely wouldn't hurt to get somebody like James Harden. Definitely wouldn't hurt at all. So, I mean, this really changes a lot for the Clippers, more onus on them, but at the same time, they can handle it. They're NBA players. They get paid the big bucks for a reason. And, the schedule didn't fall, the dice didn't fall your way, but it doesn't matter. Roll the dice again and see what you crap out at, or see, how it falls, because, that's just the way it is. You got to keep going with the punches and just keep rolling, because this is the time of the season where, when the season comes, it's going to be that time for the Clippers to, rise up. And like I said, it's been for 5 seasons now. They ain't won a championship yet. So, I mean, regardless of the schedule, regardless of everything else, it's no excuses at this point. You got to go out there and win it. You've had other opportunities, other years to go out there and win it. I understand the injuries came in the way or stood in the way of you getting a championship, but that's just the way sports is. You know what I'm saying? You had the opportunities in the bubble. You had a really good opportunity, because everybody knows you were a better team. Or should I say, everybody thought that you were a better team than the Denver Nuggets. Obviously, you weren't, because you didn't beat the Denver Nuggets, but that was an opportunity to beat them, go face the Lakers in a 7-game series, which I think the Clippers would have beat them, because they seem to usually always have the Lakers number. They beat them 15 straight times in a row in the last several years. So, I mean, the Lakers win 1 or 2 here and there. I mean, the Clippers still in the last several years have beaten them every single time, just about. So it really isn't no competition. But I think they would have beat the Lakers somehow, just because they got their number. And I think they definitely would have beat the Miami Heat. But that was their best opportunity to win a championship. So this year is even better, but it's going to be harder. So take the punches, roll with them, and see what you can do and try to come out with a championship. But either way, leave any comments in the comment section. Let me know what you think, and we'll talk about it.